Networking has always been a huge part of the BEC conference, and this year is no exception. I'm Ellen Rogers, editor of US Glass Magazine, and welcome back to Nashville. This year's Tabletop Expo has been a big draw, with companies highlighting many new glass and glazing products. Today we're talking to some of those companies to learn more about what's new with them. John McClatchey with Southern Aluminum Finishing told us about some of the new developments for his company, as well as how they're handling some of the current shipping and logistic challenges.
There's always been an issue with transportation and logistics in our industry. So the biggest thing that we're working through right now is figuring out how we can get our material to our customers, first of all, without getting it damaged. So a lot of what we ship usually would go LTL, and we've started consolidating on dedicated trucks now. So we'll have a big job in Philadelphia, and we'll put all our material for that job on the one dedicated truck, and then for a job in Jersey will go on that truck, and a job in DC will go on that truck. So we're not having to get it, it's not having to go and get cross-docked at different terminals for LTL. We also have our concealed fastener panel extrusions. And so now, whereas the rivets used to attach to the extrusions along the return right here, there's now a double return, and so the extrusions fasten on the inside. So we're now distributing these panel extrusions too, now that a lot of glass shops are doing panel fabrication in their own shops.
Some of the companies here are also highlighting new glass developments that can provide not only a high-performance product, but can also help improve occupant comfort. We checked in with Viracon to learn more about their dynamic glass product.
Probably the main thing that's new with Viracon is the Viracon Plus Halio. With this particular product, as you can see over here, it's in a fully tinted state, and then it can go into a fully clear state. Well, it can really be a good fit in a lot of different applications, anywhere from high-rise residential to offices, but also you can adjust each window based on the occupant's comfort level, or a floor, or an elevation, so you can really be pretty flexible with how you use this. You can use it on an entire building. You can use it in a certain section of a building, a certain elevation of a building. Yeah, I think a lot of the trends are, for the most part, are code driven, right? So we're lower U values, and controlling the visible light, controlling the glare, and bird friendly ordinances and things like that. We're starting to see a lot of that. A lot of calls asking, what are the solutions to these issues.
Guardian Glass also has two new glass products. We talked to Jake Kasbrick to learn more about how these can create new options for architects.
So it's really exciting time at Guardian. We were able to come up with two new Louis coatings at Guardian that are reflective silver. One of them has a little bit more depth, called SNR 50, and the reason I say that, it has 48% visible light, 26% reflectivity, so it does give a little bit of that depth without coming across too reflective or silver. And a nice little feature to it, it has a 0.25 solar heat gain coefficient. So you can meet the ASHRAE standard in the south, but it's also a viable product in northern regions. Another product we came out with is SNR 43 or SNR 35 on clear. And that product gives 33% visible light, 35% reflectivity, so that lower visible light helps out with glare concerns. And that 35% reflectivity gives that nice vision to spandrel harmonization. And it gives more of a crisp silver. Another good feature to that product, it has an industry-leading solar heat gain of a 0.17 on clear glass. A lot of times your code is really starting to drive things farther and farther down. So your ASHRAE standard is a 0.25 or below, and because of that, we're really trying to make our portfolio to meet that on clear glass of that solar heat gain. And then we're also taking the feedback from the architects. So if they want to have more of that neutral aesthetic, more of that crisp silver, then we design the aesthetic around that performance as our benchmark.
This year's program also included a panel discussion on mock-up testing. We spoke to one of the presenters, Jose Colon with Intertech, to learn more about mock-ups and why they are an important part of some construction projects.
I would say the most important reason is for the owners, the people, the developers, the ones that are putting the money to build a big new stadium, or the city putting up a big airport or something, is to mitigate risk, right? To make sure that what they're going to spend money on, the systems that are going to be used are going to last and meet the requirements, and they're not going to have to replace it for a long, long time. I think that's the most important. So performance mock-up is a test mock-up. It's something that's built to be tested per the project specifications. A visual mock-up, it's usually done that's way in advance when the designer and the architects and everything are thinking about what colors and what materials to use, and they'll build a smaller mock-up to see what it's going to look like.
Across the industry, companies are increasingly focused on being more sustainable. One way to do that is recycling. Infinite Recycled Technologies is on a mission to keep glass, including laminated glass, out of the landfill.
So essentially glass is just minerals that have been mined. It's been made in a glass form, and then it's in a window, and then at some point that window reaches the end of its useful life. And then along the way of making it too, you have all these defects, you may have quality control issues, so there's a certain amount of glass that just doesn't make it to the final stage. And so prior to what we did when we brought our technology to the market, that was all going to landfill. And the tragedy is that glass is a perfect feedstock to make new glass. And so what we're doing is really making that available for the glass industry to capture that and put that back into their own product. There's several industries that use this in their products. So fiberglass industry is a very large consumer. Some of that can go back into the flat glass industry. They're very specific about quality, so that needs to be absolutely perfect glass to go back to flat glass. Bottles, containers can use it. Sandblasting can use it. Paint marking, so reflective paint beads on the highways and what have you. That's all that comes from glass. So there's a really big end market for good recycled glass.
That's it for Nashville 2022. You can read more about our BEC coverage on usglassmag.com, and also be sure to follow us on social media. Next up, we're heading to New York, April 6th for Glass Expo Northeast in Long Island, and hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.